Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside Silent War 2.0. This is a game designed by Brian Miller and is published by Compass Games. The original Silent War came out in 2005 and now Compass has redone this game and come out with Silent War 2.0. This is not simply a republishing, this is a complete rework, and it also includes the IGN expansion, which has also been reworked, which is why it says Silent War 2.0 includes IGN 2.0. This is a solitaire game that covers the U.S. submarine campaign against Imperial Japan from the period of 1941 through 1945. So let's take a look at the back of the box and see what this game's all about. Silent War IGN 2.0 is a completely new edition of the original Silent War in IGN, published first in 2005. Based on hundreds of detailed playthroughs and direct feedback, the game has incorporated numerous updates, improvements, and additions without altering the essential play of the game. Updates include a completely revised map, including the Eastern Indian Ocean, fully revised art throughout, rebalances in War Period 3 and 4 to more accurately reflect the diminishment of Japanese naval forces, a complete revision of the engagement table, revised TDC counters, improved ship and submarine data, a set of 10 early Gato-class submarines that can be refitted, new rules for weather and attack posture, updates to existing scenarios as well as 2 new British ones. 2 full years of evaluation, rework, and development, art, additional development, testing, and extensive editing went into this production from hundreds of contributing players, making Silent War IGN 2.0 a completely new and exciting addition. And for contents, we get a 22 by 32 inch map, 8 counter sheets, 2 rule books, 8 player aid cards, and 1 10-sided die. You can see up here an example of the map, counter sheets, the counters themselves, the rule books, everything that you get in this game. It is rated as medium complexity, time scale is 20 minutes per turn, number of players 1, it is a solitaire game, and the average time to play is 1 to 2 hours for a patrol game and up to 200 hours for the full campaign. So let's take a look inside and see what we get. All right, we get our 2d10. On the back it said 1, but it looks like we get 2. Set of baggies. We have updates, clarifications, and corrections list, and then we have the Holding the Line Netherlands East Indies event listing. This is a sheet of errata counters. There were some counters that were miscut that some people received, so Compass being proactive, they sent out the errata counters for everybody to make sure everybody got the right ones. Clarification for the scenario book, rule book, the IGN expansion rules, nice big thick scenario book, sequence of play cards, and looks like one last one, our counter sheets, and our mounted map. So let's set up the map and take a closer look at the game. And here's a look at the mounted map that comes with the game. It is a beautifully done map and it covers the entire Pacific theater that you'll be operating in. Now at first glance, you're going to say, wow, that is a really busy map. But when you look at the breakdown of the map, it's going to make total sense. You've got a lot of charts and different holding boxes around the outsides of the map and at the top as well. And then inside is where all the action's going to be. And while again, it looks a little confusing, it's not. When you break it down, you understand the different parts of it. It makes total logical sense. Each of these circled areas, those are your different areas of operations. Inside that, you have the area activity chart. This is what you're going to roll on. That's going to tell you the density of the enemy shipping in the area. And each of these, as you roll, will also have DRMs. This is going to tell you whether you have light or nothing all the way up to heavy. And you'll be pulling them out of cups that you have set up next to your map. And then you'll be pulling out all the different ones randomly, putting them face down. And then as you get into engaging them, that's when they'll be revealed. So it makes total logical sense, like I said, when you look at it that way. Then you also have these other activity boxes. Those are special mission zones that you'll be doing other things in. On the outside, you've got a lot of informational tables. We have tonnage and ship sunk, submarines lost at the top left. Next to that, we have the search and contact box and the endurance table. Then we have the current war period and the current torpedo level. Along the top, we have the turn track, which is going to cover all the months from January through December and the years from 1941 to 1945, as well as the 4 weeks of each of the months. On the right-hand side, you have the submarine bases that you'll be bringing your subs in and out of for repairs, things like that. Then we have the transit event table, the submarine damage table on the bottom right, and then we have the engagement tables here. Remember, we were talking about the activity charts there. This is going to tell you what cup you're going to be pulling from and how many. Then we have the last submarine base, Ceylon, over here on the left-hand side. Along the bottom, this is going to be a listing that is not part of the game, but it's actually for you just to contemplate as you play. This is a list of all the U.S. submarines that were lost in World War II, giving the whole number and date or range of dates of their loss. But overall, a very beautifully done map, very easy to read, vibrant colors. Nothing's going to be difficult to follow on this map at all. Next, we'll take a look at the player aids that come with the game. We start off with the sequence of play, which lists out all the different segments in the game, from strategic segment all the way down to the end turn segment, and their sub-segments. And yes, pun intended. On the back, we have the war mix table. On the next sheet, we have charts and tables 1. Starts off with war periods, and we have the torpedo improvement and enemy submarines tables. On the back, we have the combat tables for attack and counterattack, transit event table, endurance table, and the search and contact table. Then we have charts and tables 2, which gives us the attack posture table, congregating risk, original engagement table, and along the bottom, we have a timeline of U.S. submarine losses throughout World War II. On the back, we have the engagement, weather, and ultra tables. On the next sheet, we have a sense of scale, which is a really cool table that breaks down all the U.S. submarines from 1922 Leviathan all the way to 1997 Seawolf class, so you can get a sense of the different sizes of each of these boats. That carries over to the second sheet, which covers the Allied and Axis Pacific submarines. And on the back, we have a really cool and informative anatomy of Gato-class submarine breakdown. On the next sheet, we have the combat display, which is dual-sided, so that way you can choose the background that you favor most. There's a light background on the other side and a darker background on this one. Then we have the submarine tender display. And on the last sheet, we have the map legend, giving us a breakdown of the map, the area activity charts, and the markers used on the map. And on the back, we have a breakdown of the U.S. submarines, the Japanese units used, as well as the unit summary and the administrative counters for use in the game. Next, we'll take a look at the counter sheets. They are the standard compass quality, nice, thick, easy to punch counters, which is why they shrink wrap them. On the first sheet, we have all U.S. submarines, and the gray side here, this is the patrol side. When you flip them over, you see their transit side, which is indicated by the blue background. On the next sheet, we have more U.S. submarines. That continues on to sheet 3 and finishes out on sheet 4, where we start seeing some Japanese units as well as other Allied and Axis power submarines. On the next sheet, we have some administrative counters as well as Japanese surface and air forces. That continues on to sheet 6, where we get the last of the silent war counters. And on the last 2 sheets, we have the IGN expansion counters. Next, we'll take a look at the rules that come with the game. This is a 31-page full-color rulebook. Inside of the front cover, we have the table of contents listing out all the different sections and their subsections as well. Start off with the introduction, game components, the game map, game charts and tables, map charts and tables cards, how to read your submarine counters, how to read your surface counters, the different types of surface vessels that you'll be dealing with in the game as well, the administrative counters, the conventions used, and then the war mix, and then we have the setup here on page 7. And we get the sequence of play, which we've already looked at when we saw the player aid card. This is going to give you the same breakdown here inside the rules. We start off with the war event phase, which is the first step in the strategic segment. Torpedo improvement phase. There's the table for that right below it. Then there's some commentary sprinkled in as well, where Brian talks about the design decisions and what he's intending with each of these different rules. Procedure for that, commentary on weather, existing typhoon movement, new weather event formation and location, immediate weather effects, effects of weather, typhoon markers, submarine reinforcement phase, readying submarines for sea phase, patrol movement phase, And as you noticed, each of these sections starts off with a commentary. So Brian's giving you an insight into, like I said, all the different aspects of the game, why he designed it, or what maybe he updated from the first version to this new 2.0 version. Search, bypass, search determination, the procedures. And remember I was talking about that area activity chart where you're going to have these different colored boxes here. White is no contact, green is sparse, orange is low, blue is moderate, and red is high. That's going to tell you how much shipping is going to be in each of those areas. Then we get to the combat phase, attack posture, revealing Japanese ships, which we pull out when we do the roll in the activity chart. We pull them out of the cups, place them face down, and then you reveal them. Resolving your attacks, attack posture aggressive, super skipper determination, combat example over here, sub versus sub combat, endurance check, cleanup, transit movement phase, how you get back to each of your different harbors, conclude your turn phase, damage, and then events. Then we have the combat event table, as we saw here, 2 pages. Special mission zones, those are the ones that don't have the activity charts in them, they just have that anchor. That's going to be your special mission zones, where you'll be doing different things. We have congregating risk, bases, wolf packs in combat, revealed escort levels, super skippers. Then when there is also a 2-player variant, if you wanted to play with a friend, you guys can split some duties up, which is nice when you've got a really big area of operations like the Pacific, and you can kind of break things down that way. Then there's some added rules here. Loners, resolving loner combat, procedures for that, and then crash dive ratings, targeting an escort. Then we have early advancement into War Period 4. Then the consolidated attack, counterattack procedure, and modifiers on the last page. And then on the back, we have the United States Navy Top 25 Submarine Honor Roll, which gives you the tonnage and the ships sunk. Next, we'll take a look at the IGN expansion rules. This is a 27-page full-color rulebook. Inside of the front cover, we have the table of contents, and we get the breakdown of the components and conventions, as well as the breakdown of the new playing pieces that come with the expansion. The Japanese warships, the auxiliaries, diligent escorts, depletion of a class pile of IGN set ships, damage to IGN set ships, campaign game effects on the war using the IGN optional damage repair, tonnage award for our sunk IGN set ships, special rules for encountering specific IGN set ships, the German Merchant Raider. Then we have the IGN removal dates. And then we have the Silent War IGN 2.0 counter sheet manifest, which goes on for the next 16 pages, which we're just going to flip through. It's always good to have this as a reference. Then we have the commentary and design notes at the end. That goes on for a couple pages. And then on the back, we have the IGN warships lost to U.S. and Allied submarines in the Pacific from 1941 to 1945. And lastly, we'll take a look at the scenarios. This is a 59-page full-color scenario book. Inside of the front cover, we have the table of contents listing out all the different individual scenarios and the campaigns that come with the game. Start off with some special rules, special entry for Japanese ships, enemy submarines, early Gato-class submarines, early Gato voluntary refit, Gato damage, fall of Manila and Surabaya, realistic radar refit, which is an optional rule, career longevity options, and then the campaign games. There's information on difficulty ratings, difficulty complexity, long campaigns, short campaigns, Rule Britannia campaigns, and then we have the Master Submarine Reinforcement List, which is going to go on for a couple of pages here. United States Navy submarine development through 1945. Then we get into the scenarios themselves, starting off with the long campaign. Campaign 1, the submarine campaign against Japan. It's going to give you the game length, game start and end, the longevity for your minimum performance, and then the submarine order of battle, and then the deployment zones that you're going to be placing each of the submarines in. Your order of battle, victory conditions is all going to be spelled out for you as we go through each of the scenarios and campaigns. We have back here Campaign 2, Red Sun Rising, Campaign 3, Turning the Tide, and then Campaign 4, Red Sun Setting. Campaign 5, MacArthur's Navy. Just going to flip through the rest of it because you don't need to necessarily read each aspect of the scenarios and the rules. You can see they're all going to be laid out very similarly. Rule Britannia, the Royal Navy, and the Asian Pacific Theater. Changes to the standard game are listed here on page 35 for those who played the original game. Then we get into the patrol games starting on page 37. So if you don't want to sit down and play through a full campaign, you want to knock out a quick patrol in an evening, you can do one or two of these because they take probably about an hour or two each is what it said on the back of the box. So you got a couple hours, you can knock out one. If you got a long night, you can knock out a couple. Then we have the war events table here on page 50. War period 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then east wind early. And then the frequently asked questions are also included here on page 55. And it goes through to the end of the scenario book. And then we are at the back of the scenario book. And that is a look at everything you get inside of Silent War 2.0. This is a game designed by Brian Miller and is published by Compass Games. Well, as you can see, you get a lot of game in this box. The original game came out in 2005, then there was the expansion, and after years of input and feedback, Brian says, hey, I need to rework this, and that's what he did. This is not a reprint of the 2005 edition. This is a complete rework, as well as upgrade to the components and art, everything, with this 2.0. So you get a lot of game in this box, and you can play patrols if you only got a couple hours to play, or you can play campaigns. And they're short campaigns, long campaigns. So you got a little bit of everything that can cover all of your gaming time that you have available. You only have a couple hours, you can knock out a patrol. If you got a couple weeks, you can sit down and play the big campaign. So it is going to be interesting to work through all the different scenarios and campaigns in this game because it's just a vast area and it's a vast piece of history that this game covers. So it's going to be pretty cool to see it all in action. But we're also talking about, Brian and I, about doing a learn to play for this. So stay tuned for that as well. Just have to find the time where our schedules match up, and then we'll get that done for you, hopefully quickly, so that way those of you who are new to the game can have an easier time in getting into it. It's not a complex game, but there are a lot of pieces to it, but it's pretty straightforward when you sit down and play. The components in this are fantastic. Another outstanding job by Compass. Well, I hope that helps you guys out if you'd be curious about this one. If you have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.